Tallstar's Revenge. Chapter 15. Tallpaw! Claws grabbed his flanks and dragged him backward. Stop! Tallpaw slammed to the ground as Tallpaw knocked his legs under him. His chin hit the grass with a thump. He struggled to his paws and glared at her. What are you doing? She glared at him. She glared back. They're allowed to be here. Tallpaw blinked. It's the route to Mothermouth. Tallpaw's pelt burned. The rabbit brain. Swallowing, he turned and faced the Thunder Clan warriors. Sorry, he mumbled. Dawnstripe nodded toward the younger cats. Fuzzy Paw and Robin Paw are probably going to share tongues with their clan at Moonstone. That's right, isn't it, Dappletail? The tortoiseshell let her fur lie flat again. Yes, thank you, Dawnstripe. The gray warrior's whiskers twitched. I thought we were going to get shredded for a moment. Tallpaw fluffed out his chest. I could shred. Dawnstripe patted in front of him before he could finish. You know how eager apprentices can be. She slipped her head to the gray tom. Windflight, I'm sorry if he alarmed you. Fuzzy Paw peered around Dawnstripe at Tallpaw. We thought he was a rabbit, he mewed. Tallpaw shook out his black and white fur. You must see some weird-looking rabbits in the forest. Robin Paw sniffed. Not as weird as you. I'm sure you'll want to be on your way, Dawnstripe meowed firmly. As he shooed them away with a flick of her tail, Aspenfall and Stageleap caught up. Aspenfall's gaze flashed toward Tallpaw. You managed to stop the war, then? Only just, Dawnstripe muttered. Your apprentice is very fast, Windflight meowed generously. That's true, Dawnstripe agreed. He'll be a good warrior when he's learned a little common sense. I forgot about the routes to Mothermouth over the moor. Tallpaw felt the bristle along his spine. Okay? Stageleap nudged his shoulder. Come on, let's check the border anyway. He headed along the slope He headed down the slope, weaving through the bracken stems. Relieved to escape the stares of ThunderClan apprentices, Tallpaw padded after him, breaking into a run when he reached a flat stretch of grass. He heard after Stageleap, the wind streaming through his pelt. Pushing Bun harder with every stride, Tallpaw realized how easily he was gaining on the stocky young warrior. He curved his spine deeper and stretched out further. Within moments, he was neck and neck with Stageleap. He relaxed, matching his pace to Stageleap's. Stageleap glanced sideways at him as the moor sloped more steeply toward the fortress fort, and both cats looked. Have you grown? You've shrunk, Tallpaw teased. You could taste the air growing rich with the scent of tree sap as the sweet smell of heather faded behind them. Stageleap pulled up first as they reached the scent line. Tallpaw scrambled to a halt a moment later, skidding across the border half a tail length before leaping back onto WindClan territory. Through the trees he could just make out the tops of great oaks of fortress. This way. Stageleap led him along the trees toward a thicket of brambles that spilled out of the trees near the ShadowClan territory. Tallpaw swerved to avoid the tangle of prickly branches, glad that the brambles on the moor were few and far between. He'd hate to be trapped among them, unable to run without snagging his pelt at every turn. He sniffed gingerly at a bramble trindle, scared a prickle might lose its grip, and let a branch whip across his muzzle. The fresh scent of pine sap bathed his tongue. ShadowClan? There's bound to be ShadowClan scent here, Tallpaw reminded himself. They were tailings away from the border, and yet the scent smelled fresh, as though many pelts had brushed past not long ago. Tallpaw glanced at Stageleap. Should he say something? His ears twitched. He wasn't ready to make another rabbit-brained mistake. Not so soon. There was probably a good reason Shadow Clan sent us here. Perhaps Shadow Clan patrol was on its way to the Moonstone too. Perhaps the jumble of smells drifted over the borders and clung to the brambles. Surely if something were wrong, Stage Sleep would have noticed. Stage Sleep was veering from 4 trees and heading for the Shadow Clan border line. As it sloped toward the Thunder Path. Tallpaw knew that the Shadow Clan camp was on the far side of the Thunder Path, but they spied their scent. But they had spread their scent markers on side too, along the edge of the trees, as far as the hollows with the great oaks. WindClan didn't object. They didn't want the trees for themselves. Tallpaw called up to his clanmate. "Did you smell anything?" he asked casually. "Back there, I mean." Only the wind." Stage Sleep paused as Aspenfall and Dawnstripe appeared at the crest of the hill. He called to them. "Has ThunderClan declared war?" Aspenfall's tail quivered. They know it was an honest mistake. Dawnstripe pulled up beside Tallpaw. "How's the border?" She sniffed the air. "Have you started marking it?" Not yet. Tallpaw had realized he had been so busy worrying about Shadow Clan scent, he had forgotten to leave his home. He quickly sprayed a clump of grass and followed Stage Sleep down the slope. After a few strides, he paused and scanned the hillside. Far away along the Thunder Path, he could see the ThunderClan patrol Specks now. Tallpaw winced as he imagined the story the apprentices would have to tell on their return, of a rabbit-brained WindClan apprentice who thought they were attacking WindClan at a steady walk. He glanced at Stage Sleep, who slowed. He suddenly noticed that Stage Sleep had slowed. The dark brown warrior sniffed the grass and patted it forward the tail length, then sniffed again. His hackles rose. "Is something wrong?" Aspenfall asked. "I keep getting whiffs of Shadow Clan on this side of the border." Aspenfall trotted over and ran his muzzle across the grass. He wrinkled his nose. Dawnstripe opened her mouth. "I can smell it too. From here," she growled. "A Shadow Clan patrols across the border." "They didn't go far." Stage Sleep was checking the grass deeper into WindClan territory. "There's no scent here." "Why would they cross at all?" Aspenfall asked. Tallpaw glanced up the slopes toward the brambles. "Smell a Shadow Clan up there too." Aspenfall jerked his head up and stared at him. "Why didn't you say? I thought they might be on their way to the Moonstone, like ThunderClan cats." "Shadow Clan doesn't need to cross our territory to reach the Moonstone," Aspenfall snapped. "Their camp is on the other side of the Thunder Path, just like Highstone's." Tallpaw gulped. "There were a lot of scents up there." Aspenfall broke into a run and bounded up the slope. Dawnstripe raced after him, with Stage Sleep at her heels. Tallpaw followed, his heart pounding. What had he done? He caught up with his clanmates as they investigated the bramble thicket. Aspenfall dodged back and forth, sniffing lice. "There are too many scents to count." "Why didn't you mention this before, Tallpaw?" Dawnstripe's pelt was spiked along her spine. "I didn't want to be wrong again." Tallpaw felt cold. "What does it mean?" "A huge Shadow Clan patrol has crossed the border." Stage Sleep had his muzzle pressed to the ground, following a line of trampled grass across the moor. "They headed this way." "Toward camp?" Aspenfall charged past Stage Sleep and plunged into the heather. Dawnstripe launched herself across the grass. "Come on, Tallpaw!" Tallpaw halted after her, Stage Sleep racing at his side. Tallpaw ran faster than he'd ever run before. Stage Sleep fell behind as Tallpaw pushed harder. hearing nothing but the blood roaring in his ears. Aspinfall and Dawnstripe were just a few paces ahead, from swerving around like a rabbit trail through a dense swath of grass, and then bursting into the clearing outside camp. Yells rang out beyond the heather wall, like an agonized screech, a terrified wail. Dawnstripe skidded to a halt. Tallpaw slammed into her flank as Aspinfall pulled up beside her. "Why are we stopping?" Tallpaw gasped. Stagelight caught up with them, panting. "Fetch the patrol! That's hunting near the RiverClan border," Dawnstripe ordered Tallpaw. We'll need every spare warrior." "I want to fight," Tallpaw protested. If it had been for him missing the first signs of invasion, they might have stopped ShadowClan patrol from reaching the camp. "I'll go." Aspinfall hurtled away. "Okay, then." Dawnstripe stared at Tallpaw. "Are you ready?" Tallpaw nodded. "Ready." "Come on!" With a battle yell, Dawnstripe raced to the entrance. Tallpaw shot after her, Stagelight crowding his heels. Tallpaw burst out of the heather. Claws unsheathed, stared in horror. The camp sheathed with snarling cats, tails lashed, tall paws flailed, the stench of punch-up mingling with a tinge of blood. At the center, Stonettooth, the ShadowClan deputy, reared up on his hind paws, teeth bared. "Spare no one," he snarled, slamming his paws down Hairflight's spine. Hairflight rolled over and leaped to his paws. Hairflight rolled clear and leaped to his paws, hissing. Tallpaw looked around, frozen. "Circle the clearing and pick off the outsiders," Dawnstripe ordered before she leaped into the middle of the fighting. As she disappeared beneath a huge tabby, Tallpaw scanned the edge of camp. Algernon and Bess were outside the nursery, one duckling, the other slicing at ShadowClan attackers. Meadowslipe and Palebird were nowhere to be seen, so Tallpaw figured they must be inside the nursery. Rena crouched in the entrance, slashing at any ShadowClan muzzle that came near. Shrewpaw and Hairflight wrestled a ShadowClan's Tom at the entrance to the medicine den. Hairflight grasped him in his claws and dragged him backward. Unbalanced, the ShadowClan warrior kicked out. Quick as a bird, Shrewpaw swooped and sank his teeth into Tom's hind legs. "Nice move! Nice move, Shawclaw," Breckenwing called to her kid across the clearing. Without pausing for breath, she ducked and spun around, knocking the ShadowClan she-cat to the ground with a well-aimed blow. Sparrow crouched at the entrance to the Elder's Den, pelt brushed up. Redclaw was braced at his side as two ShadowClan Toms stalked toward them. "Do you need Rowges to defend you?" one of the ShadowClan warriors sneered, showing his teeth. Sparrow lashed out and knocked him flying. Redclaw lunged into the other Tom, reeling with a blow to his muzzle. Heart pounding in his ears, Tallpaw crept for it, circle the clearing, and pick off the outsiders. He recognized Roundpaw's dark gray pup from the gathering, belly flat to the grass. The ShadowClan apprentices were creeping up on Restock as she grappled with Netpaw. Newtpaw dived beneath Restock and flipped her onto her back, then started battering Restock's muzzle. Restock thrashed like wounded prey, trying to find her paws, her soft belly exposed. Frogpaw crouched even lower. "He's going to attack!" Tallpaw raced toward him, yowling in fury. The ShadowClan apprentice leaped up, eyes wide. Tallpaw slammed into him. Frogpaw staggered backwards, eyes flashing with rage. Hissing, he reared up and sliced Tallpaw's muzzle. Pain scorched through Tallpaw, but rage kept him on his feet. He narrowed his eyes and lashed out, keeping his hind paws firmly planted on the grass. Restock rolled past him. Her claws dug deep into Newtpaw's flanks. "Are you okay?" she yelled to Tallpaw. Tallpaw dodged a blow from Frogpaw and hooked the apprentice's legs from beneath him with a well-aimed kick. "I'm great." As Frogpaw hit the ground, Tallpaw sank his claws into the Shadow Clan cat's shoulders. "Who smells of nettles now?" he growled, pressing Frogpaw's muzzle into the grass. Suddenly, claws pierced his flanks. Tallpaw yelped as he was dragged backward. He tried to struggle free, but his pelt was caught fast. "You smell worse than nettles," Ashpaw hissed in his ear. "You smell of sheep dirt." She flung him to the ground and plunged her paws into his belly. Gasping, he tried to roll aside, but Frogpaw had leaped up and was pummeling Tallpaw's muzzle with a fury of blows. Tallpaw's thoughts spiraled into panic. He flailed desperately, trying to break free, but Ashpaw and Frogpaw had him pinned to the ground. Gray fur flashed into the corner of his eyes. When you hear the next yell, get to your paws and start swinging, came a gruff voice. "More!" The roach grabbed Frogpaw and dragged him backwards. Frogpaw screeched with fury. Tallpaw kicked free of Ashpaw and jumped to his paws, while Molepaw flung Frogpaw onto his back. Tallpaw flew at Ashpaw, claws stretched. Ashpaw's eyes widened with shock as his claws raked her muzzle. Tallpaw kept swinging. "The only thing you'll be smelling for a while is blood," he screeched. He kicked off with his hind legs and hurled himself at the Shadow Clan apprentice. She rolled underneath him and crouched against the grass while he sank his teeth into her shoulder. Screeching with pain, she tore free and raced for the entrance. Newtpaw was ahead of her, her tail brushing as she fled the Wind Clan camp. Aspenfall was chasing a Tabby Tom across the clearing. Redclaw hissed at a white warrior as he fled while Hairflight and Dawnstripe herded a gang of yelling Shadow Clan warriors toward the entrance. "We've driven them out," Tallpaw realized. He felt a rush of triumph. A screech sounded from the meeting hollow. Tallpaw rushed to the edge and looked down. In the shadow of Tall Rock, Heatherstar reared over Stonetooth. She slammed down her paws, sinking her claws deep into his pelt. Blood dripped from above her eyes, and she blinked it away. "Why did you attack us? Why?" She shook the Shadow Clan deputy savagely. "Why shouldn't we?" Tallpaw hung limp in her claws, his eyes shining with hate. "We could hunt on these moors just as well as you." Heatherstar's eyes flashed. "The moors are ours, and always will be," she howled. She hauled Stonetooth to his paws and flung him toward the edge of the hollow. "Run after your weasel-hearted clanmates before I rip you to shreds." Stonetooth climbed out of the dip, leaving blood in his wake. "We've seen your weaknesses, you rabbits," he snarled. "Next time we'll drive you from your dens for good." Hissing at the watching Wind Clan warriors, he limped out of the camp. Hawkheart turned and scanned at the clearing. "Barkpaw!" Heatherstar turned to her medicine cat. "Check the injured, Hawkheart." She shook her head, sending scarlet drops onto the churned-up sand. As Hawkheart moved toward her, she stepped back. "I'm fine," she meowed. "Start with the others." Hawkheart turned and scanned the clearing. "Barkpaw!" Tallpaw jerked around. Where was Barkpaw? He felt a surge of relief as he saw his friend hurrying out the elder's den. No injuries there, he called to his mentor. As he spoke, Reed Feather crashed through the entrance. We've gotten rid of Stonetooth, the Wind deputy lashed his tail. Appledon and Dullspring are chasing him back to his own territory. Hawkheart! A panic cry rose from the tunneler's nest. Red Cloud was reading over Brackenwing. His mate was sprawled up in the tall grass, unmoving. She's bleeding! Barkpaw! Hawkheart ordered. Fetch spiderweb and thyme leaves. He raced across the clearing the meeting hollow. In a leap, crouching beside Brackenwing, he sniffed her flank. It's a gut injury. Gently, he rolled the pale ginger she-cat onto her side. Tallpaw crept closer, wincing as he saw the blood flooding from Brackenwing's belly. Brackenwing glowed, her eyes rolling back until only the whites showed. Redclaw leaned close to her cheek. It's okay. Hawkheart will fix you. Hairfly and Cloudrunner crouched at the edge of the bracken. Paleburn noticed past Allergy and Bess. Brackenwing? What's wrong? Meadowslape was just behind her. Her swollen belly swaying. Lily Whisker and Flailfoot watched, trembling from the entrance to the elder's den. It looks bad, Flailfoot whispered. Tallpaw stumbled aside as his mother pushed past. Brackenwing! Palebird's voice cracked as she crouched beside her friend. Barkpaw raced out of the den with a wad of comb web and leaves clumped between his jaws. He dropped them at Hawkheart's side and stared at his mother. Brackenwing? The she-cat's eyes were closing. Redclaw looked at Hawkheart's eyes round as owls. Can you save her? Hawkheart touched the small wad of web with his paws. It's too late, he growled softly. She's lost so much blood. Brackenwing! Shrewpaw pushed past Aspenfall. Get up, Brackenwing! We won the battle! He stared at his mother, then at Barkpaw. What's wrong with her? Barkpaw met his gaze with clouded eyes, but didn't answer. Beside him, Brackenwing twitched, then fell still. Brackenwing! With a groan, Redclaw pressed his tawny cheeks against his mate's muzzle. Brackenwing! Panic-edged Shrewpaw's mew. Hairfly stepped closer to his apprentice. She's dead, Shrewpaw, he murmured. Tallpaw backed away, and shock trembling through every hair. She can't be dead. His paws trembled beneath him. A thought hit him like a stone.